I think we're there. I'm hoping we're there. I'm hoping we're all right. Good evening, all. It's going to be a slightly different setup this evening. I've got the camera in a different place, so I've taken the bit off that attaches to the top of the screen, and it's. I'm not gonna lie, fellas, it's fucked off. So there you go. So this is it. So I'm going to spend a lot of time looking over here where the screens are, and every so often I'll come back and make GCI contact with you guys. So don't worry, we're all good. Good evening to Calco, to Base Truther, Rash, to Hero Lels, Edison, welcome in, Citizen Ninja, CanMod, Eve Inspiration, Space Saga, Pilgrim, Stuart, Firebean, welcome in, buddy, Viper Leo, Chief Paranoid, Jukester, This is Chaos Shippers, how you? Pete the Fat Dog, Ashra, Widget, and Tibbs. Yeah, so there we go. It's, well, the thumbnail says it all, right? There's a bit of a dumpster fire going on at the moment, and the dumpster fire is unfortunately the game that we all know and love, or at least the game that we all love to hate. And we'll talk about that as we go through, and I want to hear from you guys as well what you think the issues are. I'll talk about what the issues are from my side. As the guys in Discord will tell you, I've not been as active in the game, and I'd love to blame it on other things and being tired and that. That's not true. I've had the last week off, had a bunch of other stuff to do, prepping for, kind of moving house, and had a couple of really nice days out, which was nice, or nice evenings out. So that's been good. But the game just hasn't been drawing me in. So, yeah, let's talk about it because, yes, so rough because Chris Roberts is, and that's a word I'm not repeating on stream, but yes, I'm not going to directly attack people, but it's interesting. So 4.8 appeared to be rushed, appeared to be very rushed, in fact. There was all the information in the world coming back from Evocati that 4.8 was struggling to be ready. And they went with it anyway. And now 4.8.1 was pushed back and back and back last week, but it has still come out. And we had a really interesting kind of discussion in Discord, which seemed to then become a microcosm of what was on Spectrum, which was basically talking about, I made the statement that I wasn't, if it took another week for them to get it right, they should get it right because we didn't want another month of 4.8. And unfortunately, everything indicating, despite multiple hot fixes over the weekend, another month of 4.8 is exactly what we are going to get. And this isn't limited to, ironclad issues and stuff like that. This is far more fundamental with the servers. The servers are struggling. We've had accounts issues, some confirmed, some unconfirmed. I've just seen people mentioning them. I haven't experienced them myself. There's been all sorts of issues at the moment. Lots of issues with the missions, lots of issues with stuff not completing, stuff going missing from people's accounts. So, yeah, there's a lot of things that are causing the game to not do as well as we might hope. And you kind of get that, right? It's an alpha, and we did warn about this, but we knew that with 4.8, and I said that with 4.8, right? That sometimes, the game's going to get better, and when you focus on playability, of course things are, well, you would hope things would steadily improve, and then when you start to focus on other things and bring the other things back in, you will at points have dips, and lots of things will break. However, with the advent of 4.8.1, which they could have used to fix a load of this stuff, it at least feels like it hasn't been. So that's where we are at the minute, and that's part of what we're going to talk about as well. Luna, hello, welcome in. Deuteronolus. I'm sorry, mate. I'm struggling with your name. I'm just going to call you that. Dute, there we go. I've butchered that. I'm fully aware I've butchered that. Let's go with this instead. Mel Z, welcome in, buddy. Good time. Good to see you. Gotcha. Deuteronolus. Got you. Thank you for that. SpaceX, hello, bud. So there we go. So yeah, that's been that sort of stuff. So yeah, it's been interesting. Where's the dumpster fire? Isn't that behind the Inferno? Yes, it just seems like they've tried to put it out by throwing more fuel on the fire. Unfortunately. So that's where we are. Ironclad is still a hot mess. Yep, they've got issues with the command modules. They've got issues with the oxygen. They've got issues with it doing all sorts of weird stuff and not being great. It sums up how you feel about the game at the moment. Well, Chaos is obviously a bit of a shame, but entirely justified with where things are at the moment. And that's the point that I'm driving at. They had the option, they had the opportunity to fix it at 4.8.1, and they didn't. And that's the long and short of it, right? They had at least to fix a few things. Now this pace, the speed issue kind of continues over. One of the things I want to have a look at a little later on, but we'll have a look at it now. I was doing really well with the bugs. I found one earlier. I thought I got him, and he's back. He's being a dick. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at this bit. Okay, transition across. Give me 2 seconds, because this is rubbish, because I know what I'm looking at, but you guys don't. Okay, so it's this section here. Okay, so we've got this idea that they were in a rush with 4.8, because Evocati feeding a lot back and it not being acted on, or they're not getting to reasonable fixes. They might have acted on it, it's not really achieved anything. Then we've got this line here. Elsewhere, the Gattac Raylan passed its grey box review before progressing into Lot 0, with a combined Lot 0 and final gate review scheduled for early June. And this is interesting. We knew they had to get 4.8 out by a certain time to allow defense con to happen. They then delayed the free fly for a while because 4.8 was a dumpster fire in and of itself. We then have this, which is they're obviously rushing the Raylan out for Alien Week. The fact that they've said that it will happen, the fact that it's Lot 0 and Final Gate is being run at the same time. There might be a way that they're doing this. There might be a very good reason that has nothing to do with deadlines, but Alien Week is in a couple of weeks, if not this week coming. Gattac's headlining that, along with the unannounced ship that appears to be a thruster of. Yeah, everything seems to be in a bit of a rush at the minute, and it's not an great place to be. Hello, Blam. Raiden release will be spicy, so socially welcome in, bud. Yep, absolutely. I honestly don't care about having a rough alpha patch, but they need to adjust their messaging to suit. They flip-flop between release to alpha to suit the sales cycle. Yeah, and they have dialed back from it, I've noticed, but a lot of the advertising back when they were doing that on YouTube was very much showing what appeared to be a finished, completed game, and it's not. And it's a bit crappy, because people are spending their money on it, and it's not what was going on. So there's that. It's an alpha is getting old, they can do much better, we've seen them do so much better. Yes, so... Yeah, you're right. It's an alpha. It's getting old. It is getting old. Is not wrong. However, it doesn't change the fact, right? You could use any one of a number of examples, right? It doesn't change the fact that they are still building out functional core tech, and we didn't know until 4.0 came in that they were going to be able to achieve server meshing. So it's very much an alpha. It's, hey, there's core tech to this game. We're not even sure if we can pull it off. Absolutely makes it an alpha. But I get you. I think there is... The alpha excuse is, hey, we brought in a bunch of new stuff. It was looking good, but it has broken stuff we didn't intend. We're going to go fix it. The bit where it gets to stop being an excuse, I think, now, is when the later patches coming behind it and they're taking servers down for 12 hours and multiple hotfixes over a weekend, all that sort of stuff. It's an alpha. It is, but we've been through this cycle so many times. There should be better preparation for it. So yes, that, basically. It's an alpha is not an excuse for not testing your alpha. That. Or, when you're testing your alpha, you're entirely right. You test your alpha, and then you don't listen to the Evocati who are testing it. Because you've got a deadline, it's almost like, well, what was the point? Just deal with it and don't muck around with that. Everyone knows you don't play SC. SC plays uses Space of X. You are not wrong. You really aren't wrong. My question is, from everything I've seen, 4.8.1 is more broken than 4.8. Like, I managed to play 4.8. I've not been able to achieve anything in the point patch. Says Can. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's a shame because normally after a wipe, I get that bug to like go and get the armor that I like, and I go and get the weapons and stuff that I like, and the stuff that you don't buy in places, you only loot. I get that bug to go and get them. We did Hathor a bunch of times, and I picked up all that stuff from Hathor. I think the real test for me is, I think in 4.8, I haven't been back to ASD yet. And ASD is one of my go-to locations. So for me, that's a really strong indicator that I'm just not feeling with it at the moment, and that's okay. But it's not. It's not a great thing. 4.8.1 made the game shit in every way. It's rough. The bugs span systems. So you've got stuff that doesn't complete, you've got stuff missing, people are looting stuff and finding stuff only to log back in, it's gone. I've seen unconfirmed, and I stress unconfirmed, reports of people having their inventories completely wiped, including the major landing zone, when the point patch came out. Don't know if that's true or not, but just to be aware. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's kind of gone on, and it's winding everyone up, understandably. And I think it speaks well of the fact that this year and a bit we've had of the stability, making the game more playable, adding more content, all these things that we can do now, there has been a definite upward trend with all of that. More enjoyable game, more stable game. Of course, when you've got that, when the bugs hit, they're going to hit hard. But I go back to, sure, they hit hard with 4.8. I don't see what the rush was with 4.8.1. Anyone know what was the rush? What was the imperative to get 4.8.1 out this weekend as opposed to, say, next weekend? In a universe where things persist, why are the bugs top of the list of the only things that perpetually exist? Yeah, first of all, is that Groiper Grindhouse? If it's the other word, if it's the naughty word, I might just call you Grow or something, or Grindhouse. Grindhouse you can get away with. But yeah, welcome in, bud. But you're right, exactly that. Issues with gear, ships getting blown up every time you call them up. Yeah, brick ships. Brick ships that you then can't clear out of the hangar. So now your hangar's useless. Just, yeah. Stuart says, I'm not playing it right now, I don't need the frustration. Tips, hello buddy. To prevent cheating and dupe was the main purpose of this hotfix. We've put up with it for this long. Do you know what I mean? And I get it. Yeah, I can see the point there. Because the problem with duping and all that sort of stuff is potentially then you then have to do another wipe, and it's the people that aren't involved in it. Everyone is affected by a wipe. I kind of see that, but they've also made the public statement that they can track people and they can see this stuff happening. So just deal with it that way. Yes, long term, making the game as immune as you can to things like duping and all that sort of stuff, 100%. But in the short term, hammer some people. Do you know what I mean? Take their accounts off them for a while and see how that goes. So yeah. They have 3 patches this cycle. I'm guessing they want to give them all time to breathe. Yeah, and do you know what? I mean, here's a really good question. Would anyone be really upset if they turn around to everyone and say, look, 4.8, less stable than we were hoping. So what we're going to do to give more time is we're going to reduce the number of patches and spread the content out between the two. So you'll still get the same content, you just get it in 2 hits rather than 3. Would anyone here really be upset with that if they took the extra time then to, build on stability and try and plug some of the leaks? Because I certainly wouldn't. But it's easy for me to say when I'm not playing it a lot, right? People might be, actually, I just want the stuff anyway. Yeah. Got no problem playing the game at the moment, says Rusty. I'm pleased for you, mate. Even the cloud is holding up. Yeah, it seems to be much more so than it has been recently. It seems to be very much service specific. I logged in quickly to show a friend of mine the Perseus, because any excuse to show that girl off, right? So I was showing the Perseus off, and I when I first went to join a server, it was like, you are 136th in the queue. I was like, oh, I don't want to do this. I was like, oh no, I'll do. I'll be clever. I'll join a friend. And I'm sure a lot of you have seen it if you're playing the game, but you right click join friend. The options were 0/1. And it was like, what? So I didn't even bother clicking. I just went and hit server again. And luckily enough, I was like second in the queue for a completely different server. But yeah, very, very strange. So, yeah. I'd rather them do another year of stability. I don't need events. I see that. Yeah. Honestly, too little, too late. Says Grindhouse. The clock. They ran the clock out already. As long as sales are attached to patches, then it isn't going to change. Which is really interesting, because there is no sale attached to this patch. Right? Nothing came with 4.8.1, did it? So yeah, it's kind of weird. I can see it for the next one, but again, I think this is the thing with it, is they're putting missions in. They're obviously working on mission system version 2. But if you do, I think you can put up with a lot of stuff in a game if you do some things, right? You do the thing and you get the reward for it. If you lose little bits and pieces here and there along the way, you can still kind of manage, I guess, with what's going on. But right now, and I'll transition back again because transition noise, yeah, it's been interesting, which is a shame because, straight off the back of the craziest ship sale we've ever had, straight off the back of huge amounts of publicity based around the battlecruiser, its price, the fact that it's not in the game yet. Based off the back of a free fly, the game is incredibly unstable. And, most of us in here are old salts, right? We've done this a few times. It's really easy. You go play the free fly, you deal with it, you suffer through it, and then at the end, it's like, well, at least things will stabilize. And unfortunately, that stabilization has just not landed. So all of this is very exciting. Missions for Foxwell headhunters, go and do stuff around Nyx and wherever else, and do your not Nyx, mining stations throughout Stanton Pyro, besieged by raiders, their identities unknown, their agenda unclear. All very, very cool. But when you're doing them and the stuff doesn't spawn and you don't get the rewards, or what you get disappears, it removes the point for us gamers. I don't need to tell you guys this, right? But it's sometimes nice to hear it out loud and kind of crystallized in thought. Widget says, it's interesting. In hindsight, I think they shot themselves in the foot last year, making a single branch stable. People have gotten used to the game working. Problem features will break it again. It is an interesting point, and that's why I kind of repeated, I think, a number of times throughout last year, that people had to bear in mind that the game would break. And again, I reiterate, it's not the fact that the game broke in 4.8. It's the fact that the pattern repeated itself. And people have said this. It's the fact that it's repeated itself in 4.8.1, and rather than reacting to that patch, it seems to be more about them hitting their deadlines than it does about reacting to how the game is affecting the players. Right? The whole you don't play SC plays you. Well, that's because they're not looking at it and going, okay, slow things down. We've broken some stuff. Slow things down. That huge expensive ship, I'm talking about the Iron Chads. The Iron Chads are not functioning properly. And people have spent a huge amount of money on those ships. So maybe we get them working right. That sort of stuff. So there we go. Who's playing Rust to relax? What's wrong with you people? Rash says, what about that we are now focusing on game performance and bug clearing rather than just pumping out new tech? Also, where's the new tech? Where's base building? Well, that's it. They're focusing on that. I think we've just gotten to the stage where, the more I think about it, the more everything has felt like a rush. You remember when we were looking at the Battlecruiser, or we were watching the Battlecruiser video together, and they were talking about like, hey, it's gonna have like a garden for the cafeteria so they could grow your own food, and it's gonna have this. It's gonna galley and nautical parlance. I just my back of my brain just imploded hearing myself say cafeteria for a warship. Sorry. Yeah, chaos. Sorry, shippers. That was poor taste. Um, but all that sort of stuff, and they were basically like, he was like, well, I just wrote that down because I thought it would be cool. You mean you've not discussed it? You mean you've not sat down and talked about what actually would be in this thing? It's literally seems like they listed some stuff off that they wanted inside it as they were almost like as they were going in to record the video, which again means that that thing, despite the fact they had some great animations and everything else, they focused on the weapons and everything else was kind of like, we'll get to it. Well, we don't need that in order to sell it. We can do that later on down the line. And yeah. Thanks, Notorious. Don't tell the officer today, I'll get in trouble. But there we go. Still play Rust all the time, says Grindhouse. Rust PvE server. Okay. Yeah. I'm not making a call as to whether one or the other is better. I'm saying that one is very clearly more stressful. And that's the call I've made, before anyone has a go at me for that. There was little stability in the nearest stability. I mean, there was a definite increase in stability. There was a huge increase in stability from my perspective, and I think I will talk for the DGP Discord and the people in it, because invariably, as that year went on, more and more and more people were in the Discord, to the point now where we go to do tactical strike groups and there's 14, 15 people. Against other orgs, nothing at all. For DGP, a really nice place to be, right? It's a nice number to have. So yeah, there's that going on at the minute. And the stability just picked up. At some point, they are going to transition back into other tech. And of course, the first bit of tech that's coming, and we'll jump into this in just a second, is Siege of Orison. So this is tech that doesn't necessarily directly affect us. It's not introducing anything new for us, per se. What it is introducing is the instancing. So Siege of Orison will be an instance that, if everyone leaves it, I'd imagine it will reset. They've not talked about persistent instancing for this. That's going to be the municipal works as was for Nyx and Levski. And that will be a case of when you go back and you complete certain milestones, when you go back it changes the bit that you do next to reflect that. So maybe you secure an area and there's some friendly guards there, or whatever, right? That's what they're talking about. So yeah, instancing will bring Siege of Orison, and I'm really looking forward to that. So here we go. Closed gameplay spaces, controlled access, access is managed through prerequisites, party leader ownership, and safeguards that prevent or remove ineligible players. So it looks like there's going to be, to use the old World of Warcraft term, there's going to be attunements. Instance prerequisite. That's just a posh way of saying attunement. So maybe you do some missions before you go there and do that sort of stuff in very much the same way. They've already shown this, right? This isn't a big surprise to anyone. ASD, you had to go through the process of finding the data before you opened the Hyperion lab mission contract that could be repeated ad nauseum. So, yeah. There we go. They don't even know why it should have animations. What's the purpose of hiding the guns other than looking cool? No, looking cool is the whole point. Maybe reducing the chance of it taking damage when it's not deployed, but I mean, it's a battle cruiser, right? 4.8 did have the highest concurrent player count for over a year, but that was more because CIG finally did a wipe and a lot of us had a reason to play again. Yeah, I think so. That's the thing, is the patch that breaks everything. If everything is steadily increasing, then yes, 4.8 obviously would have it until it breaks. If it's 4.9 that breaks everything, then it'll be 4.9 that has the higher player count if everything's trending upwards, and then it will drop back because people are like, I don't want to play this broken buggy mess. And that's okay. But there we go. They still haven't got the economy under control and seem to be violating nothing. A lot of loops that allow you to avoid crafting. maybe more wipes is what CIG needs for players. Yeah, I mean, it's going to happen again. Hello, Alan. Welcome in, buddy. Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, we'll see. It's been interesting. It's been interesting. It's not been a lot of fun, and I get people's frustrations with it. Again, I will say this one more time, and that's it. But 4.8, I understand. 4.8.1 was less excusable because they knew. And we want to see them respond to these cycles and respond to player considerations. 4.8.1, to the best of my knowledge, did not even go to Evocati. So, not great. Yes, I'm still on the caffeine-free Coke. No, I'm not getting the caffeine hangover headaches anymore, which is nice. But yeah. Grievous, hello, in, buddy. Have you changed your name? Am I right in thinking that? Hello, bud. Yeah, so it's all good. I'm probably going to finish a little bit early this evening, just because I've got a job application on the go and I want to look at it again before I go to bed. So we shall have a look at that. So I'll probably cut it about half an hour short, I think, which is good because streams when you're just whinging. I say whinging. It's not whinging. It's making observations about the poor state of the game at the minute. But being that negative for a sustained period of time is just like, ugh. So we'll have a look at some other stuff in a moment. I'm just going to transition back to this while I set the other screen up. Let's have a look. Okay, let's put that last down there. Let's do this. Okay, so very quick roundup then, and we'll come back to the other stuff if we want to. So just looking at the roadmap roundup, we've got the other bit coming. We've got the super heavy combat armor. Now I'm going to go and pull up my Discord at some point. No, I'm not, because I think it's on the wrong screen. Stand by. I'm just going to put you through a bunch of screen transitions just for fun. Yeah, it's a good job I did that, because I was having a conversation there that you probably didn't want to see. But yes, so I'm not going to show everything that we've been talking about in the DGP Discord leaks and spoilers section, because, well, to be honest, some of the heavy armor kits have had stuff applied to them, and now they look goddamn awful, and we're not talking about that. Yeah, I've just passed the Star Kit and Armor version. Stop it, you monsters. But yeah, let's have a look. I'm going to pull this one up. Open media link. Here we go. Right. Now I know what I'm talking about. Let's go back. This crazy, crazy heavy armor. What we thought, and I've seen, I'm going to only touch on this very, very quickly. I know Paul and everyone else has done the same thing. Not necessarily the Atlas suit that we were expecting. It's not quite as big as that, although I guess they could try and pass this off as an Atlas suit. Really, really heavy piece of armor. I actually really like the way this looks. I'm not gonna lie. I'm quite a fan of this already. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. And then there's the back of it. So what we can see here is this kind of heavy backpack. There are 4 magazines for the weapon. And there's a specific, I don't know if it's size 1 or whether it's something else, but it is a very specific weapon that goes with that suit. And that's this sort of Gatling thing here. So it looks like Castak Arms, given like the Punisher logo that it's got over here. And this is going to be, I guess, your kind of... Did anyone play PlanetSide? Did anyone here play PlanetSide? Or PlanetSide 2? This to me looks like a Max suit. Right, which you'd send these things in and they were huge and walking around, and you'd have people behind it healing. So I have a feeling this might be a case of this huge suit of armor, and then people behind it with paramed devices or the med attachment for the multi-tool, trying to keep them alive while this thing just wades in and absorbs all of the fire. So yeah. That's what it reminds me of. Looks like a Tribe's Too Heavy, does it, Fished? I've not played it, but this is how they got ridiculous money from us. Pretty things. You are not wrong. Absolutely. Always seem to be a magnet in my head for snipers, though. Yeah, it would be really interesting. I was thinking about like the Vandal tech smuggler missions where you go down to the warehouses that are occupied, and you've got the miniguns on the top. I was like, I wonder if if a minigun would shred this. Because I kind of hope this is just super heavy armor, right? And not anything else. Because with max suits, you kind of hope that you could get it like an RMC canister and like patch it up, like it's that sort of personal walker stuff. Whereas this thing, I don't know. I suppose you could. I mean, the areas look kind of flat and not detailed, and not so detailed that you couldn't do like identify where the armor's been burned through and then patch it up. I suppose, but you definitely want that on an Atlas suit, right? But yeah, that's kind of cute, cute, cute. So yeah. Yeah. So you'll go down on elevators alone from now on. Rude, Rash. Rude. I need to be backed up, kept alive. Stunner says, those are not magazines but full refrigerated lunchbox. He's a big hungry boy. Mate, I sympathise with that a lot. But yes, they did. I think they did confirm in what they were looking at that these were actually 4 magazines. So what might be quite good fun is whether, does it connect to this via belt fed? Or is this like a team-served weapon, like Helldivers, where someone else can pull it out of your backpack and attach it into the back of the gun whilst you're firing? That also would be pretty cool. And make these things a bit more of a target, because now the person that's doing the loading and unloading, is a bit more of a target, and so on and so forth. Does anyone know? I've not had a look. Do we know how we acquire this? Is it purchased or is it something we get in game? Is it like the Atlas ICTY where you've actually got to go find it? So yeah. Sub-size 1 or a size 1 shield would be interesting. Yeah, I think they've... unknown at the minute, Asher, is it? Got you, thank you. Yeah, so that's it. And just because people are mentioning it multiple times, the first armor variant for it has been confirmed. I am, of course, kidding. This is just the warped product of someone's very, very troubled mind. Remember if that's you. Yeah. That hurts my eyes, and I'm taking it off the screen. So there. Okay. So, that's the Super Heavy Army and the Apocalypse Arms. So yeah. Apocalypse Arms. Not Castic, then. Okay, fine. I got that wrong. So while carrying up to 4 magazines of ammunition, and that's where the connection comes with the backpack. So there we go. Combat clothing, which is nice. Lightly armed apparel, or armoured apparel. In other words, clothing with an armour value. Guessing maybe around 5-10% sort of thing. Looks a bit more stylish while remaining viable in combat situations. And that's cool. For the people that like to kind of LARP the whole, kind of, I guess, Firefly effect, people walking around in clothing and then getting involved in battles and stuff. You can do that now without getting absolutely shredded by the AI, because you've got at least a little bit of damage mitigation on you. Still not recommending it, but there we go. New Drake Clipper coming to Wicklow. So there's that, and it does interestingly say here, completing a new addition to the variety of Wicklow's. So the clipper and upgraded components, it's not yet clear whether that's anything to do with the super heavy combat armor. And then we've got the mission giver, Reko's back. So yes, Aiden Levski, there we go. Reko coordinates logistics for the local independent miners operating from Levski. There you go, new mining contracts. And hopefully that will be more than just the go there, collect this and bring it back like the current ham mining ones are, gem mining. It would be nice to see something a little different. Viblight, welcome in, buddy. A data player will load, but they can't heal themselves, so a medic can follow them and using them as a shield. Yes, that. There we go. And then we have the monthly report. Now, I've only very briefly scanned this. Became a little distracted just before the stream. We've got a couple of things in here that were interesting that I saw very quickly that I wanted to pick out. So here, there's two things that I wanted to pick out. First one is, if you like the female body type within Star Citizen, they are now trying to figure out and fix the fact that certain things wouldn't fit on the female frame. So that's good news. And then we have track views for an upcoming event and restructured how melee attacks are tweaked for NPCs with large attack sets, because then it says prototypes of that were then implemented for the Valakar. So the Valakar, despite being told that that was all being played, it looks like they're just working on it. I think there are potentially other things the AI team could do, but there we go. Because we're also seeing within the animation, the animation team progressed with the Apex Valakar, fleshing out various additional attacks and animations. They also captured new enter and exit animations for upcoming ships, alongside work for a new full-body mission giver who will have her own place in the verse. What's the girl's name in Wicklow? I wonder if it's her. That'd be cool, right? So yeah. And then we've got the ship's stuff. So this here, interesting. So this is one of the sneak peeks. This is the ship. It's right under where they said Gatak Raylan, and then significant progress was also made on a as yet unannounced ship. Now this to me actually looks like that's vertical. So rather than that being like the back of a ship with an engine, and that's kind of backed up by the fact that that's the hangar floor there. So it looks like they're at it's an angle like this. Yeah, rather than straight up or being like the back end of something. So that's what I think that is. I'm happy to be told I'm wrong, but that's kind of where that is. And it's also asymmetrical. So this bit here, that kind of almost coffin shaped shape down here, is not repeated up there. Have you got my mouse? Can you see my mouse? Probably not, right? But there we go. I don't know if I turned it off. So there we go. And then we've got 4 other upcoming vehicles. First has custom mocap for its enter and exit animations. So, creating unique challenges due to its scale before its grey box review at the end of the month. So that's kind of cool. And that doesn't sound like it's going to be the Ironclad, the Kraken, because they're actually talking about the Kraken a little later on. Production on the second kicked off with a small team starting work toward the white box gate plan for middle of June. The third continued down the pipeline, while the fourth saw the UK team collaborating with their North American counterparts to ensure the art direction aligns with the brand's other new releases. So what's that? What ship has had what have we had released recently? We've had some Drake stuff released, a lot of Drake stuff released. We've got some Alien stuff, but we're expecting all that to come out at Alien Week, so it's not that, because this is doesn't look like it's anyone near that. This when they're still talking about art direction. Ooh, that's Kruger, isn't it? That's Kruger. The Stingray, yeah. I think that's the Kruger Stingray. With resources freed up following DefenseCon, pre-production picked up for the Anvil Liberator. The shipping ship is on its way. So there we go. It's entering pre-production. That's going to excite a lot of people, I should imagine. With the start of White Box scheduled for the end of the month. As part of this, an update was made to the interior to allow for quicker entry and exit to the landing pads. So it sounds like wherever you enter, you come up and you'll either be able to go into the ship further or walk out onto the landing pads, which will be good, right? That's not a bad way to go at all. On the UK side, the RSI Galaxy continued through white box as further revisions were made to the layout around the central docking collar, habs, bridge, and lift area to ensure clear flow from any direction. And they talked about this with the Ironclad as well. Now, I've not been on the Ironclad while all the bugs persist. I'd just rather when they fix it, I'll then go on and have a look. But they talked about doing that flow stuff with the Ironclad as well. So they are obviously absolutely adamant they're not going to have another Starfarer Gemini incident, because that's an interesting ship. My guess for the ship with the unique enter and exit animations is the Stingray. I wouldn't be surprised if it's another one. I think it's a solid guess, but I think it might be another one as well. We need an alien miner, liberator, carrier for the masses. It's not a carrier. Shut your face about it being a carrier. Just stop it. I see you socially. I see you, Edison. Stop calling it a carrier, God damn it. It's not a carrier, you monsters. Speaking of carriers, though. Oh, here we go. North American team progressed with an unannounced ship which passed its grey box gate review with flying colours. Following this, Lot Zero began with the ship coming together following a preliminary lighting pass. So they're in a good place with that. And then we are on to the Kraken. Continuing through grey box. Further changes to the hero room to utilise more of the Drake kit used in the Ironclad. This will save both production time and increase the optimization of this huge ship. And that, I mean, they look like stairs, right? I mean, it's probably not, but they almost look like stairs when I first looked at it. I was like, holy moly, this bit here, not that bit, this bit. But that doesn't. But yeah, significant size and kit and everything else. That looks like a PDC sat over here. So yeah, interesting. I think the Kraken's going to be a really interesting ship to go and explore. Did you just hear onto the crackhead? I hope not. I hope I didn't say crackhead. YouTube is now, the algorithm is like losing its crap round about now because I'm saying rude words. But yeah, that's the back of the Kraken for sure, or at least part of the Kraken. You can see here's landing gear. So yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So they're vents, 100%, but they looked like stairs when I first looked at them. And I was like, holy moly. Oh, you reckon that's the front? Interesting. And that's just a retro thruster. You reckon? Or is it a headlight? I don't know. It's all exciting. We're going to figure it out. So, the team progressed with a new larger caliber weapon, which is currently in grey box. New tech is also in the works that will require cross-team collaboration over the next couple of months, as in teams within CIG. Material polish passes and updates to existing weapons continue to progress too, and we've seen a little bit of that. The community stuff, which I tend to skip over. There's stuff on the economy team, and it's kind of interesting. Can kind of pointed this out earlier, right? The economy feels very stagnant. It's stagnant. It is a far cry from Quanta and whatever it is now, Star Sim, I think it's morphed into, that we were shown. The kind of, this is, and it's weird, because that felt like it was going to be a massive underpinning piece of tech for the whole game. I mean, maybe they're having problems with the idea of server meshing. Maybe until they've done the server meshing and figured out where they are. Maybe that Star Sim doesn't deal with multiple copies of the same verse. I don't know. You know, it was almost like a nemesis system, right? They were like, you know, you fight a pirate and that pirate attacks you and gets a crime stat. It's now a permanent quanta. And it becomes its own personality. But then what happens if that appears in a shard that you weren't in and someone else kills it and has no idea? They're reducing the chances of you encountering these quanta and like Lord of the Rings nemesis system. So yeah, because here they talk about the team supported Defense.com by setting up new shop items, including commemorative hats and t-shirts, ship weapons, flight blades, flight suits, and vehicles. No. Just, you know, give us an actual functioning economy would be wonderful. But there we go. Yeah. Yeah, that's it, Rush. Tony Z. So, I haven't seen an answer to that he's gone. However, on the CIG staff page, it does say game developer emeritus, and emeritus basically means an honorary position for a retired person. So he might have retired. I wonder how many people are actually still doing Wicklow. I think CIG killed him off by wiping Wicklow ships. So much wasted efforts. Yeah, a little bit of that. Although I've already seen someone running around in. It was in Levski when we were doing one of the tactical strike groups. I saw someone running around in the white ASD armor. So they've gone and either crafted it or whatever, but they've been to Wicklow and handed in the armor and got the Arctic version of the Geist set. So yeah, there you go. Interesting stuff here though. Okay. Significant improvements on optimization that will come at a later date. This is good news. Team further optimize and refine visuals for global illumination, which is nice. And then this bit. The Planet Tech team made large strides with Genesis as they look to close out the last elements of the core technology and move on to polish, performance, and stability tasks. Recent work focused on critical pieces of technology like GPU object spawning, the virtual terrain cache, imposter rendering, and the spawning of creatures and minables on V5 planets. Alongside this, the teams continue to iterate on visual quality while ensuring performance is kept in check. And that's really exciting, and I know you guys have been saying it for ages, but we're seeing yet another indicator that we're going to get planets that come in as V5, and then they are going to go back and have to do it, existing planets over again in V5. And some of them are already looking pretty damn good. The ones in Pyro, for example, there are some really pretty planets in Pyro, and that coming in is going to be really exciting. So, yeah, there we go. Progress was made on the redesign of an existing event, Siege of Orison, that aims to push the boundaries of what is possible within a single instance. There we go. Oh, this might not be... Ooh! The original was designed around combat, but the game has grown and matured, and the team are now able to tap into new methods and gameplay choices. Interesting. I did note, I did an after action report years and years ago on Siege of Orison when it first came out. And Siege of Orison was something where I was like, they could have leaned a little bit more into the hostage rescue, into that sort of stuff. And obviously, with the AI as it is, even now, let alone back then, that would have been a bit of a problem. But it sounds like moving away from just combat and to give you other things to do in there. Maybe these would be really good side missions, like the one where you had to go and stop the hack, and you made a crap ton of money for that. That would be really cool as well. Elsewhere, the Municipal Works is currently going through the mission blockouts to get it into a first playable state. Once the design is signed off, full production can begin. So we're still a little bit away, it seems, from the Municipal Works arriving. Because they did say, so when's the next patch due? Is May, June, it's July, so they did say September, didn't they, I think, for the first, it was the patch after Siege of Orison came out. Whether that's still the same or not, we'll go. And loads of stuff here. I didn't get this far, so if there is anything really important in here, I'm just going to kind of read it while I'm gobbing off. But they are, if there's anything really important in here that people have seen, then by all means, kind of shout it out and, let us know. It doesn't look like, as I'm reading through, I'm not seeing anything that's grabbing my... Oh, here we go. So when we looked at CitizenCon in 2024, and they did the really big, socials features, some of that work now seems to be going on. So you've got this. The online services team continued their work on several key player-facing features, including social chat feature, which is being built to enable in-game text communication between players. Alongside this, the social systems pipeline continued to grow, with friends, online presence, party viewer, and orgs each formally tracked as upcoming deliverables for future milestones. So, in other words, they're not coming anytime yet, but they are now starting to, within their internal process, by reading this, assigning them to specific, we want it in this patch, we want it in that patch. Item recovery came in with 4.8. The team is currently supporting this feature with more improvements coming in future. Planning also kicked off for the Maglock system as part of the item recovery feature set, which is really interesting because I think Maglock is a big blocker to player-owned stores for things like the Idris, the Banu Merchant, the Kraken Privateer, the Banu Merchantman, all that sort of stuff. So yeah. People still talking about Tony Z in chat. I hope he still is. If anyone could make economy work, it would be him. And the way things shifted away from previous intent seems he might not be concerning for sure. Yeah, I mad respect for Tony when he came out and talked about what he was doing and what his plans were. And for me, like I say, when I watched that, it was a massive piece of the Star Citizen puzzle. How's all this going to work? How is it going to make it interesting? How is the universe going to react to us and us to it? And Quanta just made so much sense. It could be such a driving factor. And if you couple that with something like the Lord of the Rings Nemesis system, which is NPCs that are named that you encounter, that you don't kill, can grow in power and develop their own traits, and you re-encounter them later on, something like that sitting up inside the Quanta system would be just incredible. But we'll see. Yeah. So that's it. And then this bit here, which doesn't make anything any better, because at the moment, obviously, as we've said, things are massively unstable now, but a significant focus in May was to address live game stability issues tied to the contract system. The team identified that the current contract system generates far too many database entries, causing overloads and performance instability for players. 2 critical tasks were created to reduce the number of database entries and improve how contracts are filtered. So yeah, it's a small piece of the stability mess that we have at the moment, but we are hoping that they'll get around to the larger bit of it. So that's where we are there, and then we'll just go through this stuff as well. If you happened to hallucinate and see a Star Kitten version, just ignore it. It's not real. Star Kitten super heavy armor isn't real, and it can't hurt you. Okay. So the caption that went along with this thing was "Get ready for attack," as in ATAC, which is obviously a riff off of Gattac. This looks like one of the turrets on the Raylan, and I can't quite figure out. In fact, I suppose I can. So there we are. That's the person there. HUD there. So the turret is actually mounted top and bottom, which is really interesting, as opposed to side by side. So there we go. Yeah, looks very much like... it actually is quite reminiscent of the turrets on the side of the Carrack, where, this looks to come out and detach when you are in the turret, and then it kind of recesses slightly and allows you to exit out that way. So there we go. It looks to me like that turret is detachable. You reckon? I don't know. That's a strong call, Widget. There's talk of it being a snub. For a cargo ship? I mean, I don't know. I wonder what the firing arcs will be like. Pretty damn good looking at that. Yeah. Why though? No tractor beam in it. Yeah. What's it doing on a cargo ship exactly? Yeah. So that's the sneak peek at the moment for that one. Makes sense to me. Bunny Motorman as the Grubby Boy. Yeah, but that's more of a... I suppose I was about to say something dumb like the self-defense measure. But then the Banu Merchantman has all the cargo internalised, where the Raylan's got it all attached to the back, isn't it? In those kind of crazy triangular containers. Jared said something about the old sci-fi film I can't remember the name of, and that had small circular pods. Interesting. Oh, you mean yeah, I know the one you mean. I know the one you mean because we had a discussion on it. Space Odyssey, was it? 2001: Space Odyssey. Different races and purpose ships. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, if it's a snub, I'm not complaining. But yeah, interesting. It would be very, very interesting to go that way with this ship, I think. Because those guns look pretty meaty. I mean, if that is a snub, those are some meaty ass guns on it. That's an oof, right? That's yeah. But hey, who knows? Could be wrong. Like you guys said, it could be the Banu Merchantman and the Banu Defender. This could be the Gatak version of that. Either way, I kind of like again the like reflective metal surfaces. Oh god, good lord, excuse me. Being rude at you guys now, but the reflective metal surfaces, they're pretty cool as well. I do kind of like that. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted to do. There you go. And that's pretty much it. We are kind of there with the news at the minute. As I said, I'm not playing that much at the moment, so that's what's going on in game right now, it seems. And that's about it. What we will do, though, is something that's going to be quite interesting to have a look at. Now that we are actually in June, we can have a quick look at this. And I'm going to flashbang myself for a second. Excuse the eye. Thanks, Requise. And there we go. So 2026, we are $1 million off of the entire funding total for 2021. We are halfway through August 2025's last year's figures, which is just crazy. And then, of course, we will be into Alien Week. And you can see for a couple of years we haven't had an Alien Week because the kind of June section here is a little bit light. But yeah, there we go. We had a good one that year, 2022, whatever that was. What came out in 2022? Do we remember? 2022 we had Roberts. May and June is this kind of area. But yeah. Oh, here we go. Alien Week. So yeah. A few bits to think about there. Funding's still looking pretty damn healthy. And of course, it's triggering all the doomsayers who are absolutely adamant that we should be, talking about the imminent heat death of Star Citizen. And of course, it's never ever going that way. But it's not helping the fact that the game is not in a great state. So yeah. I hope it's effective. Cargo Horde, it would be a shame if it's a Hangar Queen. Yes, quite. It's nuts to me what gamers will enjoy, myself included. We put up with a lot with this game. And I kind of said so last stream, and I'm not going to repeat it. The last stream, I'm not going to lie, got some people really, really angry. And it was quite good fun to watch. People just mad about everything. Apparently I shill for the game, which is quite good fun. I didn't know. If someone could point out when I'm doing it, that's great. But I seem to remember multiple points in that stream telling people not to buy stuff. But, whatever. It's fine. People hear someone say, I'm just talking to the haters and you can all go screw yourselves. They get really, really upset and then they feel the need to kind of, come out. And if that's you, nobody cares. So there we go. It's good things they made so much money. It means they're going to refund me so I can buy my Anvil Odin account on the black market. Fair enough. Or you can just buy it in November. Or at least try and buy it in November. May was absolutely bonkers. Plus the Odin was sold on IE. Will be sold at IE. So end of year will be bonkers too. I don't know where we'll stop this year. I Is it going to be that? I can imagine the number of people willing to plough 5 grand into this thing are not the number of people that are willing to do the other things, right? I don't know. I'm not going to say I don't think, but I don't know if we're going to get that many people doing that again at that point in the year. 5 grand on a virtual spaceship. Jesus. um, yeah. It's their money, what people care, what the hell they do with it. Yeah, that. I shill for the game, Badges 2026. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, because, yeah, if you cut apparently off the front of that, that's what it is. Yeah, you can take that one right to the bank. There you go. Sunk cost syndrome. So much invested, they cancel the forest of the trees. So yeah, and no. I know what I think for some people, 100%. Um, I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that one for the sunk cost fallacy thing. That it's an interesting one, right? Um, but I think for the people that are quite happy to do it and who are just doing this as a hobby, the sunk cost fallacy only comes around when there are, there's without the addition of your money, the project won't continue. And what I've discovered, and I think what a lot of us have discovered, is a lot of us have stopped putting money in. And as we just saw, the project's doing just fine. So I don't think it might be as bad as people are saying for it to be sunk cost. Lots of stuff is being added. If we want to have the games or things, we need to endure a few more months of brokery. Yes, and I say few more months. That's brave. Few more years. 100%. When are you setting up your secret Odin fund at Badger? I'm not. Just honestly, there are so many other things I would do with 5 grand. There's other things I would do. So there we go. Yeah, I have over 5k in since 2014, but I've had to take a step back. I get it, 100%, and that's again the nice thing is you're not falling for sunk cost fallacy there, right? Because you're recognizing you've put enough brackets, too much brackets, enough whatever you feel comfortable with doing, and that's a good thing. Yeah, so well done you for resisting the urge. Yeah, I stopped spending 3 years ago, so socially, yeah. The project is fine is a bit of a stretch. What I mean is, they are making money fine. So, no one should be sat there thinking, if I stop putting money in, this isn't going to work. Because very clearly, what this year has shown us is that that's not the case. So, if anyone's sitting here going, no, if I don't put more money into this, which is what a sunk cost fallacy is, right? Rather than stopping and withdrawing, you give more money because it's the only way you'll fix the problems. We don't have to, other people can. If you treat backers as one homogenous unit, then yes, it's sunk cost fallacy. But we're not. And some of us are spending. There's some people I've spoken to who have got battle cruisers. I haven't bought a ship in a long while. I might have spent the odd like $5-10 on CCUs and stuff, but other than that, yeah. So there we go. I'm just disappointed that breaking stuff that needs to break reeks of poor design decision. It also reeks of code, right? Because you can break stuff like that. I mean, I've seen the old what was it, 99 bugs in the code in the game code, 99 bugs in the code. Take one bug, patch it around 118 bugs in the code. um, I think that might be. I'm not a coder, but I think that might be a developer thing. Things that you would not expect. But you're also right in that I think when you're building a game like this with a lot of interdependent systems, it's only going to be natural that you break other things when you're putting things in, and that's frustrating because the question then becomes, how much are they protecting themselves from that happening unnecessarily? And we don't know the answer to that because we don't work for them. So yeah. CCUs are the only thing they're getting from me, says Rash, and even then, just the ones that give me good deals on the ones I already own. So this year, they got 15 euros from me, and that's it. Absolutely. If that's all you're happy to spend, then spend no more. I realised the other day it's been 5 years in November for me since I spent on SC. Well, I mean, a happy 5-year anniversary when we get to there in November, or was it last November? So yeah. SC is bugs all the way down. It really is. Hey, Jabba, good to see you, my friend. Yeah. The ship side of Defence Con is shameless marketing. In my 8 years of backing, it felt really yucky. There was a lot released, wasn't there? There was a lot released. I do think if you're selling a concept ship, I think it was the Battle Cruiser came closest to that for me. Getting both the Ironclads at the same time was great. Getting a ship from Drake, the Pitbull, that went with the Ironclads, I see that as well. The Origin Heavy Fighter might have been a little bit needless, I get it. But then again, Origin fans are saying, well, we haven't had a ship forever. And they haven't had for a while. But it was the Battlecruiser. It was the fact that, once again, and this is the theme all the way through this chat, it feels rushed. They've rushed Battlecruisers out. And it's not a fun place to be, is it? So there we go. On that topic, did you see the Origin M80 symbol being cast on the ground caused the Starfarer headlights to cast the Origin? Did it? No. That's cool. Probably unintentional, but cool. Still spent a bit, but not a lot. Luckily, says Ashra, most of my spending stopped after the Kraken introduction. Yeah. I honestly worry that they'll need to change engines before actually releasing SC. I know it's the nuclear option, but still, they need to keep the funding pipeline open. No, I think the engine is going to be the funding pipeline. So I think what they're going to do is they're going to continually develop the engine, and then they are going to potentially, later on down the line, use the engine to as a licensable piece of equipment. And we're talking much further down the line, right? Because the quality of tools that you use in-house to develop something are not of the standard, necessarily, that you would need to be able to sell it as a product to another studio, or lease it as a product to another studio. But I think that's potentially... And where I get that from, if you watch the Star Engine trailer, the way that is worded is developer speak. The little bits at the bottom that keep popping up, a lot of that is developer speak, not consumer speak. And that's my guess from that. I've never seen a community get gaslit repeatedly like this one and seem to be fine with it in the end. That's why I think sunk cost. Yeah, I think it depends on expectations. So, people will have heard this story from me plenty of times, but I saw the game back in 2013. I didn't back to 2017 because there was nothing to back. And I've had every time a release date has been talked about, I've been like, meh. The only one I've lent any credence to whatsoever has been the one for Squadron 42, and that is beginning to look dodgy as well, right? Everything else has just been like, meh. There's some rumour that SC is going to be 2028. It's not. I tell you now, it's not. 100% certainty it's not coming in 2028. 1.0 is not coming in 2028. All you got to do is look at what we've got in the game now versus what they said was going to be in the game, and realise that gap, if you crammed that divided that between however many bi-monthly patches we have between now and then, you look at how big those patches will have to be, you'll come to the same conclusion. So stuff with dates and that, I think I've just been quite happy to sit and enjoy this as a development journey. This is the game for me, and we'll get a release down the line, and that's great. But I think for a lot of people, when they commit to ships and stuff like that, if stuff changing with that ship later on would really kind of invalidate the purchase for you, maybe think again about purchasing the ship, is all I've got to say about that. Just got a crazy deja vu. Yeah, Blam. Yeah, I've said that a few times, haven't I? Hey Robert, I feel with all the new ship releases, or almost in the game, almost playable, but not. It's a constant tease that's causing the community to be very toxic. It's a scratch you can't itch. It's frustrating, for real. It really, really is. Yeah, it really is that. Um, Next fighter sold will have 4 size 5 guns and a size 3 shield the way they're going. There is absolutely power creep. 100%. What about the Summer Games Con? Started Friday, they're supposed to have stuff on Squadron 42 there, according to other streamers, starting Mike included. Yeah. You gotta stop listening to other streamers. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. That's not what I meant, but no, I didn't think. I didn't think that was anything. What was really interesting is what Astropub said, the Astro historian said, was there would be nothing, and he was right. So it lends a little bit more credence to what he was saying about potential Squadron 42 delays. If you'd license the engine, do you honestly think I'll leave the servers running indefinitely out of the goodness of the hearts? Chris needs to monetize the player base. Yeah, the ship sales are going to continue. 100%. 100%. But, I mean, so take this game right now and apply this to any and all other space IPs. Expanse, Battlestar Galactica, Star Trek, Star Wars. Can you imagine Star Wars utilizing this tech? Yeah? Star Destroyers you can actually walk around. Once they've developed it to that stage, there is no shortage of space IPs who might want to get in on this. But yeah, Firefly. Oh yeah, ha 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 yeah, 100%. But yeah, isn't the PC part of the game's con on tonight? It might be. When is it? When is it? If it is on, we'll take a look. Let's have a look. Shall I have a quick peek? I saw a bunch of stuff. I mean, to be honest, I didn't even really look if it was broken up. But wouldn't it have started round about now if it is on? Um, I've only actually found it because mesh servers and seamless transitions, go to gaming mode. Sorry, I've just. It's interesting. I kind of pick up Sea of Thieves for a bit just to have some fun with it, and there is an announcement right now about Sea of Thieves. But browse. Here we go. There's got to be something on, right? On the PC Gamer channel, you reckon? We can watch a little bit of that. I mean, I'm not going to be around for a while. It's whether or not there's going to be like all them talking all over it and stuff. Oh, sorry. I had the volume up. But yeah, I mean, we'll have a look. But again, I don't know. Maybe it'll be on. Maybe it won't. But bye bye Star Wars and EA partnership. Don't know. Don't know. I mean, maybe EA license it, right? Maybe that's the point of it. It's a very similar setup, so we're going to see Squadron 42 on there. I would agree. I don't think we are, and that's kind of why I've not got it up at the minute. So, yeah. Sorry, it's a really bad angle with the camera. But, yeah. Really bad angle. I'll fix that later on. Because it sucks where it is. But yeah, I'll find the thing that I used to attach it to the top of the screen. I took it off to sort it out, to switch between cameras, and I put it down somewhere, and God knows where it is. And I've got boxes and boxes and boxes of stuff everywhere, because hopefully at some point in the near future I'll be moving house. I'm going to be saying that a lot, by the way, because it's taking forever. Yeah. I have to admit, after 5 years of playing, I still absolutely doing the basic things in the game. With VR, some of the most basic things are just a blast. So I take it you mean I still love or enjoy absolutely enjoy doing the basic things. Yeah, they're talking Dark Tide at the minute, are they? Fantastic. Well, that is probably not a bad place to leave it for this evening. Like I say, so there's a bunch of other stuff going on that I'm not going to get into. The the secret recording stuff, I'm so not interested, other than to say, don't record people without permission. It's just creepy. Just don't do it. I don't care the purpose. Don't record other people without the permission unless you've been advised to by a fucking lawyer. Just leave it alone. Just no. It's weird. Don't do it. This is different because I'm talking to you guys publicly, and every so often something pops up that I'm said or whatever else, and that's different. So I don't want to talk about that other than that bit, and I'm not interested. So yeah, I think that is probably right now a good place to call it. Just because you guys can go and watch the Summer Games Fest, see if Squadron 42 is on. I'm going to go and take one final look at this job application before I need to submit it. I need to submit it before midnight. And we'll go from there. And yeah, I tell you what, if I do get the job, there'll be a little bit more income, disposable income kicking around, which will be fun because it'll mean upgraded stream and everything else. And the other good news is that a capture card has turned up. And when I'm very lucky to receive a rig upgrade from someone, we'll be at the point where I'll be able to game and talk with you guys without all the background removal that this is. Overloading my rig and everything else, because I'm only on a 3080, so the second rig is really going to help. It's not going to be like cutting edge next gen stuff, because someone is very kindly giving me a system they don't use anymore. But it is an upgrade over where we are, and that means higher quality streams for you guys. That means a new video on VR to have a look at a step up in rig, in RAM, in processor, in graphics card, all that sort of good stuff. So I'm excited to bring that to you guys. And if you're interested in VR, there's a link down below in the description. There's a video that I did. It's the last long form content that I did. And there's also, if you like the RSI Scorpius, you might want to take a look at Pigeon Spaceport down in the fold as well. So that's that. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for your wishes with the application and everything else. Really, really, really go and enjoy Gamescom if you're around to do that. It's been lovely to see you guys, and I'm really hoping that sometime soon I'll be back in and playing and raring to go. Right now, CIG have made it really, really hard to enjoy the game for me personally, and I know for a lot of you guys as well. And do you know what? It daters to shut the fuck up. You've been watching Drinkers with Gaming Problems. Thank you very much for stopping by. I'll see you soon.